Good evening, excellency ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Cambodia Global Dialogue or Southeast Asia TV. Tonight I have the pleasure to have, the first time I have a panel of three people. And the reason I get them all three together because they happen to be in town, number one. But number two, they're coming with a very new, novel idea, what we call angel investing. I have no clue what it is. I'm going to let them explain. But it's quite interesting because in the context of Cambodia now, in the ASEAN economic community, you see the rise of young entrepreneur, you see a growing small, medium enterprise, a lot of interest in investing in Cambodia, but mostly by the big company. And it's quite interesting that you have this type of investment, angel investment, which are covering, the other segment of the investment community in this country. So I have the pleasure to have with me today three people. Susan, how do you say it?
Irons,
yeah, that's it, okay. Susan from New Zealand, David Beatty, that's an easy name after Susan, yeah, from the US, and Trung Nguyen, you are a neighbor,
yeah,
from Vietnam,
yeah.
Right? So I'm going to start first with the easy question to set the stage. What is angel investment? I know FDI, I know foreign direct investment, I know portfolio investment, but angel investment, I hope it's not a novel thing. David?
Sure. So angel investing is defined really as an individual who is investing their own money
Yes.
into an enterprise where they do not know the entrepreneur. So it's really, those are the three classifications that you need. Actually, the word angel investing is rumored to come from Broadway.
Oh,
Broadway shows.
New York.
Absolutely.
Yes,
New York.
all right. Yeah.
Whereby a Broadway producer would come to you and say this fabulous idea for this amazing show.
Yes.
And you were going to make millions of dollars with high returns.
Yes.
And you would write a check.
Okay.
And you would pray.
You pray that the show will take off.
And you pray because you have no idea, because it was so high risk.
Okay.
Most shows don't make it. Most shows fail, you lose all your money.
Yes.
And we believe that this term was coined again in Silicon Valley when you're working with technology entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Technology companies, early stage technology companies, is very high risk investing. Most technology companies that start fail because they're very high risk. But they could turn into Google,
Yes.
they could turn into Facebook, they could turn into WhatsApp. And so some bright person in California created the term angel investing because investing in these high risk companies was like Broadway shows.
So that's how it come about. Coming to Cambodia, when did this notion came about?
of the trip to Cambodia.
To the idea. Who brought this angel investment idea to Cambodia?
I think we can credit David for some of this.
Yeah, David, you're the pioneering in Cambodian market.
No, I think angel investing exists.
Yes.
There are people that we have met here who do angel investing. They may not call it angel investing,
okay.
but they are investing in companies that they don't know.
Yes.
The idea for the delegation that we're here, we are on our second delegation of the Mekong Angel Investment Network.
Yes.
Our first delegation was in June.
Yes.
And the idea came from a program I was part of, sponsored by USAID, to teach angel investing in the region.
Coaching.
Coach and teach.
Yes. Actually teach.
Actually teach the principles of angel investing. And that was last November. And since then, MBI, which is a program within the Asian Development Bank that is funded by the Australian government, asked myself and my business partner Steve Landman how we can do this better. And we came up with the idea that in order to drive economic development, we need, in early stage companies, we need to bring people into the region who will actually invest. And we therefore realized that the problem was how can we bring angel investors, because angel investors invest in high risk and they're always looking for opportunity. How can we bring those people into the region? And so we came up with the program of Maine.
Yeah.
And we now, this is our second delegation. We have 10 angel investors from New Zealand, Australia, the Czech Republic, Vietnam, and the United States.
Wow.
And our delegation started in Laos and Vientiane. We're now here in Phnom Penh. And then we go to Hanoi and Da Nang.
Yes.
And every one of these investors was asked to come and make a commitment to invest at least $10,000 in companies of their choice alongside local investors.
Yes. Okay.
So that it's not just us coming in and writing a check and praying, because we know that's not a good investment strategy.
Yes, yes, yes.
We're coming in and building relationships not just with the entrepreneurs, but also building relationships with local investors so that we can all hopefully succeed and get a good return on our investment.
Great. Well, Susan, I'm going to ask you from a practitioner standpoint, from a angel investor standpoint, what do you look into before you decide? I mean, David have sort of set a broad criteria, but give me some concrete example. Or what you've done before, say, for example, in New Zealand.
Right. We always look at the person, the credibility of the person, relationships, everything. New Zealand's a smaller country than Cambodia. We only have about 4.5 million people. So reputation is everything. And apart from the first impressions we get of a person where we might make some snap judgment, we also afterwards do due diligence on the person. We ask other people. We ask other associates of that person, what they're like. Do they have the credibility? And we look at their own credentials. We consider their drive and enthusiasm and their expertise in the area that their business is in. And we want to see, good acquaintance and
well, I mean, you mentioned a good word for a lawyer, which is due diligence, right? But when for me, due diligence in my mind, doing due diligence for a company is like a very convoluted, stack of document review, legal compliance, labor compliance, my God, all these compliance, licensing compliance. So it's not like that. In your terminology, in your definition of angel investing due diligence, it more a character.
Well, I would say it is a really abbreviated amount of the sort of things lawyers do on bigger businesses.
Yes.
It all has to be proportionate to the size business. So if you're looking at an idea that's just seed capital, they don't need very much money. The business isn't very old. It's more a seed investment than an angel investment, which is usually early stage and right after seed. Then you don't bother spending much time on it. It's just not worth it. The company can't answer your questions. Very often the due diligence turns into assisting them with their business model, because you ask them questions that they can't answer, and then you talk through what possible answers they might give, and you help them develop their business as you're talking with them and deciding on whether to back them.
Okay. Well, I'm going to turn to Trung, because you're from IDG Venture Vietnam. I understand that IDG have ventured in a different way in Cambodia market. What sector do you see are more conducive, if I may say, for angel investing?
The very typical area for angel investment is to the area that have the fast growth.
Fast growth, yes.
Because we are looking for companies of very high potential.
Yes.
Very risky, high risk.
Like give me some example.
Internet is very typical, because you have the very mass market. You have the good solution that you can provide not just to your clients or your user in the country, but you have no limit or no border. You can have a universal product from day one.
Yes.
So the scalability is what we angel looking for.
Scalability,
and that is and depends on each market too. So technology is normally the key term, the buzzword that you see that attached with the angel investment deal. But we are also looking at the very typical deal that is fit to the certain market. For example, in this market, we see that the consumer goods,
consumer good, yes.
agricultures, a lot of things.
So critical mass matter.
Yeah, that is a mass market.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah. But if the investment are small, do you necessarily need a mass market?
The mass market here is that you have the product that you can provide to the market and have the wealth opportunity, because we invest in the early stage, the company that is just established or just have like a few months in operation. Very risky. So the opportunity to live is very little. The opportunity to die is like huge. So we need some business model that can have the scalable factor, so that they can like help us to compensate with the risk that we have to deal with.
But how do you identify though? Let's say you come to Cambodia or you go to Vietnam. I mean, it's a huge country, Vietnam. Cambodia is not big, but still, it's 15 million, right? So how do you identify? How do you know that they're out there for you to reach out to them?
I have one word, like good people always doing something.
Okay.
And
the word goes around.
Easy.
The word goes around.
Yeah, it's very easy to find something great.
Okay.
So the next thing you know that you have to own the business network, you have own the like information portal association. That's why we Angel we have to do the networking effect.
Okay.
You win 5 people.
Networking.
That is the best thing is to know people through people.
Yes.
Best thing to see what they do that really make an impact. And the very important thing, we Angel, we want to see people before other seeing them.
Okay.
We have some like a very unique kind of capability to find the potential in an entrepreneur.
So your how you identify are very different than the typical company merger acquisition. They come, they can check their annual report, they can all this sort of thing. That's quite interesting. David, I'm going to turn to you. So far, you have made one investment, right? From the last trip, 1 or 2? One. Two. Yes. Tell me the story about that.
So the first company I actually invested in was the Cambodian Investors Club.
Yes.
I remember 221.
Yes. Yeah.
And the reason I invested in it is because we're working very closely with MBI, the Mekong Business Initiative, and they do a lot of groundwork in advance of our arriving to make sure that we get to meet people in the ecosystem, because we're only here for 2 or 3 days. And it was actually at the dinner where I met you that I'd actually started to meet an awful lot of the members of the Cambodian Investors Club and to learn about what they were doing and building a peer-to-peer lending platform to be able to lend money to businesses in Cambodia because of the shortage of bank financing. And I met Samrak. And he told me the story, and I spoke to some of the other investors and then decided to make an investment. The second company I invested in is a company called BookMeBus. And BookMeBus is looking to provide a way for anybody to buy a bus ticket from your mobile phone in Cambodia.
To go to Siem Reap,
go to Siem Reap.
They beach.
Go to the beach anywhere, because buses are one of the most the most common ways of transportation here, and most of the time people buy bus tickets in kiosks or shops, and it's very difficult to do that. And one of the things I really like about the business is the information that BookMeBus enables the bus companies to have about variable pricing in the bus tickets. They're not doing it yet because this is all very new. But that's what I see happening in other modes of transportation in other parts of the world. And I think one of the key things that BookMeBus is going to be able to provide to their bus partners.
You know that in Indonesia, the Gojek, the motorcycle, you know how traffic jam? Somebody have that idea that, look, they're going to use this motorcycle to take one person or deliver, they monetize at about 500 million now. Just, and the guy don't even own a motorcycle. And again, I mean, they go back to you about this universality as provided, as enabled by the IT. It's quite interesting. Maybe the book me bus first could be one of you never know. But again, it's IT platform driven, right?
But again, it was about the people.
Yes.
Because what I observed about the team, there was 5 founders who each borrowed money to actually invest in the company. So they, first of all, they have their pocketbook is on the line first and foremost.
Okay.
They believed so much in their business that they invested all their savings and borrowed some money to start the company.
Were they IT savvy?
There is part of the team is IT savvy, but they have a great team. They've got marketing expertise, they've got IT expertise. Langda Che, who's the CEO, is really learning to be a great businessman and a great leader. And then they've got, I believe, 5 or 6 employees, and they're growing very quickly as more and more people know that they can now buy bus tickets from their mobile phone in Cambodia. And the way we decided to invest is because what we do when we're here is we organize a learning workshop where we teach entrepreneurs, we work with entrepreneurs to improve their pitches, and then we have them pitch the investors. So and that helps us really learn and meet the people.
Yes.
And then they pitch us and the local investors. And then the companies, we came here from our pitch event this morning, where we heard 15 Cambodian companies pitch their ideas. And then we have a deep dive, it's what we call. We sit down with them and we learn more about their business and we discuss how we would do an investment. And we're doing that with Rithi Tool, is one of the people who co-invested with us and came up with terms. And then now we're working with Langda to work to partner with international travel sites to put in good corporate governance.
All right.
So it's great.
So I'm gonna call a break for this first session. When we come back, we delve a little bit more into that. All right. You know, David, I think for me, 10 to 15 years ago, when I was a Secretary of State of Commerce, I work a lot with company, right? Of course, you're in commerce, and we've been assailed by company who say, "Look, Swan, we have a good corporate social responsibility program." I was very excited about it, you know. And then they always ask me to go and chair, to host, to inaugurate whatever. But the more I go, the more I realize that it is not sustainable. It's more a gesture of goodwill. You know, I don't want to call it charity, but it's more a gesture. Okay, we're a big company, we make good money already. Let's do something for the society, right? For them, it's social good. But angel investing is not. You guys are in business. You're not doing charity work, you know. But I think there are the element of sustainability in the sense that you are coming to help teach somebody to fish, you know, again and again and again, versus giving a big, plate of fish already cooked. Am I along that line, as far as angel investment? I
think one of the key things you're speaking to is angel investors are individuals.
Yes.
And so I, as an individual, Susan as an individual, John as an individual, we decide how to spend our time, how to spend our resources.
Okay. So there's a lot of passion behind it.
Yeah. Why I do this is because I've got enough money to play golf all day.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
If I did that, I would die of boredom literally in 3 months. I wake up in the morning, I enjoy working with entrepreneurs. They're inspirational, they're great people. I enjoy solving problems. That's what I enjoy doing.
So, well, it's not charity. There's a lot of volunteer work involved, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of personal commitment into that.
But I'm an investor. And as an investor, I want to get a return on my investment.
Yes.
Because
there are rules of the game.
There are rules of the game, but a business can only do well if it is being profitable, because it can only look after itself if it's profitable. It is capitalism, and it's a beautiful thing, because by its very nature of being in business, it is generally doing great things for the society, for the locality it's in. It's giving jobs, it's bringing peace and prosperity to where it's at. And I think that's actually one of the things that the MBI actually sees in the main program, is that by bringing people in to inspire and to educate and to work with them, to invest and make commitments alongside local investors and entrepreneurs, that they actually see we're at a very grassroots level, which is very messy. It's very, very messy. It's totally disorganized. Where people are making one-on-one connections. I think that's what they see in the program, is that we're actually able to affect really small businesses and enterprises and innovation happening at that level effectively by enabling successful business people to work with and make money working with local entrepreneurs and
what you say it's great, okay? But I will play the devil advocate.
Good.
At the national level, because I'm also very involved in policy making. Industrial policy making, agricultural, rice export. So we more at the national level, we more look at the broad national scope, right? Which affect on the country level. You are very much at the microcosm of entrepreneurship, right? How do you actually scale it up? Because as a person, as Susan, as David, as Drew, you're one person. What are the mechanisms to scale it up to the point that it will have critical mass, or velocity to drive other people in?
Do you mean the angel investing?
Yes.
Scale that up?
Yes.
Oh, well.
Scale up, not the project scale up to go listing in the stock market, but scale up that, how can you have a multiplier effect that 15 other people, 20 other people would just jump in to say, they can do it, I'm going to do it, same thing. How do you do that?
That's quite difficult. You have to choose your business to begin with that can scale. That's one of the things I always make my decisions on, is can this business actually scale? And you want either a large and growing market, or you want a new and breakthrough technology, or another current momentum sector, such as drones or the Internet of Things. Various of these sectors that are going ahead quickly with 3D graphics, virtual reality, augmented reality, all of these things that have potential. So if you start with an idea that has big potential, then it's easier to get the experience necessary around the table to help mentor and advise the entrepreneurs so that they'll actually have a good chance of being successful. But part of what we do is through the networking, so that we have wide social networks, so that we know people with diverse skills and connections, so that they can assist the things, because none of us knows everything.
Yes. But David, you mentioned something which peer-to-peer.
Certainly. That's the Cambodia Investors Club.
Yes.
And one of the things they do is we have a business that is, we lend money to other businesses that the network knows. Because those businesses, one of the power of the network is that they know lots of other people, and therefore the risk is reduced if you know somebody. Because there's social capital you lose if you don't pay your money back. And so CIC is in the business of providing short-term loans to their own members and to other people who can't get bank financing, because very often it's very high risk funding. But I'd like to actually, you asked, I think your question was with regards to economic policy.
Yes.
From a high level, how can you actually scale?
Yes, exactly.
And I think the problem that people are looking to address is, how can you create an entrepreneurial ecosystem?
Yes, that's the word.
Yeah, and because I'm not a policy person, but I listen to claims. I remember the Russian Prime Minister said, we are going to create Silicon Valley in Russia. And everybody laughed. Because the environment of Silicon Valley has taken decades. I've observed New York. I live in New York. And it is only after 20 years of people developing an environment that New York is now seen as one of the great startup ecosystems in the world. And
give me some example of a good ecosystem for entrepreneur to thrive.
Creative people. So entrepreneurs are creative people.
Yeah, yeah.
My art, I create business. That's for me. It's like an art. They cluster in places. So the first thing you have to do is encourage people to cluster, and then the second thing you have to do is you have to ensure that there are people who have done it before to advise and mentor. Then you also have to ensure that the service providers that are required to be able to make it easy for things to happen. In New York, I've got a choice of 100,000 lawyers I can work with. In Cambodia, I probably have, very few who know how to work with a startup.
Yes.
In New York, I have a huge choice of creative people that I can work with, not the same. So we believe that by bringing experts, people who are successful business people. Susan is a successful business person in her own right. She made her own money. The same with Chung, was successful business people. By bringing them in, we can inspire and we can educate, we can invest, and that we believe can help accelerate the creation of an ecosystem.
To your questions about the policy, you can also look at the economic perspective of that.
Yeah.
The thing that the economy operates is that the resources flow to the opportunities. Where the opportunity lies, there will be resources to that. The way that we do with the angel investment go together with entrepreneurship. So when people see that, some guy who have idea can put into place and make it happen, and finding new opportunities for like a bigger market that they never think before. They see that, that's the opportunity. So they tend to do the same thing. When they see that the angel investors coming and help those entrepreneurs be successful, they will get the idea and flow with the idea. So that is kind of invisible hand. But the important thing here is that create a kind of snowball effect. That people always trying to making life better. They do it subconsciously, or they do it by intent. Making money, meaning that they have to create value. They have to make some added value, so that they can sell. So they may start with money, but then they create values. So all of that together, people will see that what it's like to help that system work. So you see in Cambodia, very recently, in the last few years, or 2-3 years, on the co-working space happening. So accelerators, so local investors seeing angel investor coming in, they start together in the last 2-3 months. New angel investor group local here in Cambodia.
Interesting.
They start together.
So the effect. Start already to see the emulation of that, which is great.
I want to add one thing.
Yes.
About what we do when we come here, because I grew up in Ireland. It's a small country, and in Ireland, if your business failed, you were a failure. Society said you are a failure. And I now live in New York, and we fail all the time. And it is so important for an ecosystem to enable and allow failure, because it's only by pushing and expanding and testing and constantly trying to innovate that the failure is acceptable. In California, in New York, failure is acceptable. And I think one of the things that I've observed, this is my third time in the last year being in Cambodia, is I observe the entrepreneurs that we meet being inspired by stories of failure, because it's a huge concern, because your mother is going to tell you, go work for the government, because it's safe and you're going to get a pension, and people who go and living on somebody's couch and trying to create some new concept that everybody thinks is crazy. Okay, you might be Steve Jobs and end up building Apple, but most people only see crazy person wasting their life. And so we have to create an entrepreneurial ecosystem. You have to find a way to allow people to fail without ruining their lives.
That's a great thing about America, though. And I can relate to that because when I was young and I was going to law school, I was sort of like clerking for a law firm who specialized in bankruptcy. So, John Sawyer, and I call him John, he made me every day when I, have time and go work part-time, I slave, do the data entry, filling all this stack of voluminous bankruptcy filing, right?
Yeah.
I feel, my God, they are bankrupt, that sort of thing. Then when I accompany John to the bankruptcy court, I see them, they drink their coffee. They don't have cappuccino that time yet, right? But they read the newspaper like that, relax. Okay, case number, whatever, You swear that, everything's declared good, you're bankrupt, and the guy walk out, go have a nice breakfast. I look at John and say, this guy don't look stressed, and yet he's bankrupt. And I remember to today, and that's why I can relate to what you say. He say, the system, do not sort of like punish people or just make them look bad. They say, now this guy have an opportunity to start again. He put his money into a credit card, now he got his card back, he built his credit, that sort of thing. So this is quite a paradigm shift. In my society, I think, you're failure. Maybe now things are changing. Maybe with the new generation, Western educated, they come back, they don't see it that way, right? But when you fail, you will never can ask somebody's daughter for marriage. Say, this guy is failure. But it's interesting. I want to go back to the ecosystem. In this case here, if I take the IT for example, right? 3 years ago you would not make it in IT system, in any IT related, because the ecosystem is not there, right? The speed of the internet is too slow, the sort of like the market penetration of the smartphone, that sort of thing. We're still at the 3G, that sort of thing. But now it's opposite. I think we're now about 19 million SIM card.
Yeah.
We're very impressed with your 4G speed.
Yes, 4G speed.
More than the population.
Yes, yeah. So you mean that some people have more than 2 phones, okay?
Yeah.
Or more than 1 phone,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. But I agree that ecosystem matter, which is the physical ecosystem. But David, what you touch is so important, which is the psychological ecosystem, the paradigm shift. The shift away from failure as a failure, but more like a failure as a stepping stone to not to fail again on the same thing.
Yep.
Good to learn. All right. Yeah, to learn. Yeah. So we take one more break, and then we have another session to go. Well, David, I think we cover quite a bit. Now even me, I start to understand what is angel investing. Right? It's a good start. I think it's very young, this notion, your entry into the Cambodian market. But let us be a bit futuristic, right? 10 years down the road, you're on the right track, right? You're still, starting, still young, still new. Not many people understand about it, but hopefully this talk show could help propagate this idea that there is a thing as angel investing, and hopefully we can create interest. 10 years down the road, how do you see the role of angel investing, contributing into sustainable development, if I can be quite ambitious? How do you see it?
Well, I can put on what I hope for.
Yes. Yeah, it's great. You got to start with a vision.
Yeah. So what I hope for is that there is a thriving angel investment ecosystem here, not just in Phnom Penh, but throughout the country. Mm-hmm. So very much like the United States, where you have many angel investment groups. In New York, there is dozens of groups, whether they're formal or informal groups that invest in early stage companies.
Yeah.
There are about 10 that are members of the Angel Capital Association in Manhattan alone. So I would hope that groups of people come together and realize that they are more powerful as a group to make investments.
Okay.
I would hope that there are many entrepreneurs who have sold their companies or made lots of money from the companies that they are founding today that are available to invest into the future generation of entrepreneurs, what we call second and third generation entrepreneurs. And I hope that the government has some programs to make it easy to start and succeed in business, and incentives to help the ecosystem make it easy to build businesses.
David, it's quite a good vision to see, but we assuming that all this thing will come true 10 years down the road, we still have to walk backward, right? What do we have to do? Perhaps Susan, you can share a bit on how you see the Cambodian government, for that matter, if we want to really nurture this ecosystem. What do we have to do? What sort of streamlining, facilitation that the government can come up with, for example? Maybe you can cite some example in your country.
We do have a lot of assistance from the government to build the ecosystem, because our economy isn't the greatest, and we want it to grow the economy, and the government is very, very supportive of this. And so they've put a lot of help into the ecosystem by having what we call the New Zealand Venture Investment Fund. This is a fund that is a VC firm and helps medium-sized...
VC is a venture capitalist?
Venture capitalist firm. But they also have a subset of their own operation called the Seed Co-Investment Fund, which is the part that's relevant to angel investment. Now, this was probably not quite 10 years ago that they've been investing. What they did was they accredited certain angel clubs, and they did due diligence again on the members of these clubs, the investors. They decided to back lead investors into businesses, and when a club would back a business, they'd get a lead investor in there to represent them, and they would match the angel funding. So this let the individuals who were risking their own money really help direct where some of the government money would go to. So that was a very interesting initiative.
So this would be more a initiative or executive sort of like initiative. It doesn't have to be promulgated into law or something like that. It doesn't have to be, right?
No.
Okay. It's just a program.
It's a part of the department, probably the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment.
Okay. Yeah. How is it different now? We wonder. How is it different from this incubator? Because you hear all the time, government supporting, even the World Bank. They at one point they were putting a lot of money into incubator.
Our local government, our regional government, is the one that has been supporting that, because essentially the small businesses are pretty local, and so the regional areas tend to promote their own areas, and this is working pretty well. So the Wellington Regional Council gave some foundation funding for both the Angel Investment Club and the local incubator there. Now both of these clubs, organizations, although they got some regional funding, we wanted our independence. So we tried to make successful businesses of them. The incubator, the Angel Club, is standing on its own feet. The incubator has actually started an acceleration program. They got the Global Acceleration Network franchise to run their digital program in New Zealand. So they run the Lightning Lab Accelerator program there. We get angel investors as limited partners, and the incubator is the general partner. And so we're running short, quick acceleration programs. And if they're doing well, we have longer incubation programs to help support the young businesses.
Well, Susan, and this is something that you should be coming back and ask the Mekong Business MBI, right, to do a presentation to the government official. I think, that will be your next phase.
Is that an invitation?
Yeah. I think it's good because, like you say, right, any great idea need to be promoted, right? And right now, you are on the first phase of your journey, which is you're dealing directly with the actor, right? But the actor do not have any influence on the ecosystem. It is the government who are, managing or the ecosystem or creating the system if it don't exist. Listening to what you just described, my God, I mean, for sure you got to explain to them.
But it gets better.
Yes.
There are places like Israel, where if I'm an angel investor in Israel, the government guarantees my loss. Because the government realizes that the governments, by their very nature, are not good at making investments, particularly in early stage companies, because it ends up being who you know and politicized. And they realize that angel investors and business people are good. I mean, better than governments at making investments. And so the government decided, we want to provide risk capital, but we don't know how to do the investment. So they say to the investors, hey, you invest. If you lose, we'll give you your money back.
Actually, I think Vietnam could be a good example for you, because we are very close together, and Vietnam has like about 10 years ahead in terms of venture capital and angel investment compared to Cambodia. But we share like the geographic and similar system. So back like 10 years ago, Vietnam is like a very new like this. So the internet, it just happened at that time. We don't really have like much companies with doing internet or doing consumer good at a larger scale. So quickly, the entrepreneur adapt to the model, and anything that the US having, we have the same version in Vietnam. And the government at that time, they understand that there's something new, like emerge. So they already like having several initiatives to have like incubators, to have tech park, to have like a tech exam. The tech exam for software company for 5 years. And they have like a program and policy to promote the IT workforce, because they know that that is the material for the future. So that's what they did in the last like 10 years. But then Vietnam having the whole ecosystem coming up, now they move to the next stage. They have the program called Startup Nation, also having inspired from Israel last year. That's the idea. It put into the policy like a process to the parliament. Also having like a national mass media talking about startup, talking about angel, talking about VC in the last like 12 months, or every day on TV to help people to understand the concept. Media is very important. It's not just the regulation, but the awareness is very important. And now they move to the next stage to have like more laws on angel investment, on venture capital, and talking in forums with businesses to understand how they should give incentive. That should be the tax break, or that should be some other thing. So open dialogue with the businesses. So I think that is a way that Cambodia could move to, because it's a very
no, because at the policy level we do have a very recently launched, as recent as last year, the industrial development policy. It's more how do we get Cambodia to move up to the next level of industrialization, right? But the biggest component are on how do you get the SME to be part of the regional supply chain, right? And we're talking about a lot about linkage. The big company coming in, but they have a lot of services and subcontracting that they need to do locally. We encourage them to do locally. But again, how do you get this SME to be part of that, right? There's one thing for Denso or Yakashi, the big Mitsui Japanese industrialists coming in, but how do we get the Cambodian to build enough capacity and understanding that, look, if I can make this component, I can tag myself along the automobile part, that will be assembled, in this case in Thailand, for example.
So in the United States, there's a lot of programs for minorities, which include people of certain colors, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, where the federal government literally gives an advantage in the bid to somebody who is a certified person, which means that they're
small business administration.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure they're the people who I don't know if they run that program, but it's specifically designed to give these class of businesses an advantage in federal federal bids.
Yes.
And they're small. It's not like they're building Air Force One or something. It's like who's providing the stationery to a particular office somewhere.
Yeah. No, it's. I think the more we talk, the more I start to understand better, more from a policy perspective, right? How do we help, build an ecosystem, while you are the stakeholder who will be benefiting, and eventually, the local Cambodian entrepreneur will be benefiting, But I still believe that we have to get the symmetry of knowledge. I think you spent a lot of time good now with the investor, but we need to get you to have a good presentation, a good pitch on how we can introduce a specialized program to nurture the SME, right?
Yeah.
Maybe angel investing will come the next step, but
it's here. Angel investing is here.
Yeah, it's here. Yeah.
There are.
Yes.
I have invested alongside Cambodian local investors into companies here.
Yes.
We are today at our pitch event. We had how many? About 15 local angel investors who were at the event to listen to the Cambodian companies present to us and those people. So there are angel investors here, but the biggest thing that will change is success stories.
Yes.
Is the more we can actually celebrate the successes that we see happening, the more people are going to realize it's okay.
Good.
There's a lot of scope for the angels here to play better together because you discovered 2 more groups last night, and the group that we've been interacting with is only about 11 people. So there should probably be one group. I don't really know whether their interests are aligned or whether they'd be into that. But once you get that, then you have a more effective lobbying group to talk to your government about things like taxation to make it optimal for growth, really, for the angel sector and for the SME sector.
Good. Well, I would say it's quite an interesting dialogue. I learned a lot. I hope the audience learned a lot also. But let me just say thank you for taking the time, to come and share on this quite novel thing here for Cambodia. And I look forward, hopefully, maybe next year when you come, and hopefully you will come, like David, you say, you come with success story. With the actual Cambodian who
we come looking for success stories.
Okay. Well, okay, then I have to bring some success stories to get them all in the same panel together. All right, great. Well, once again, thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you.
With angel investing. All right.